Good everyone, welcome to story time for today. It's Tuesday the 12th of May, and obviously it's all very exciting because we are on by next Monday we're all going to have the opportunity to be back at school again, so that's really cool. More details will come out soon around what that's going to look like, but first up we're going to start off with the story Kitchen Disco. At night, when you are sleeping, there's a party in your house. It's a pumping, jumping, funky bash when all the lights go out. In the quiet of your kitchen, when the moon is shining white, the fruit jump from the fruit bowl and they dance all through the night. Banana is the DJ. He plays the latest hits. Wiki, wiki, wiki. He spins, he jumps, he somersaults and does banana splits. He's going, ow! The lemons are the show-offs. They really love to rap. They break dance on the chopping board and tap dance on the tap. The coconut is cheeky. He makes the others laugh. He dives into the washing up and has a bubble bath. Whee! So shake it like a mango, party like a pear, wiggle like an apple, hey, and dance like you don't care. It's called the kitchen disco and everyone's invited. So move your hips, shake your pips, and let's all get excited. The tangerines go bouncy bounce. They like to scream and shout. One tangerine span round so much that all her juice came out. Here's the pineapple going, yo, the pineapple is very cool. He wears his hair in spikes. He hangs out by the microwave, giving high fives to fruit he likes. So shake it like a mango, party like a pear, wiggle like an apple, hey, and dance like you don't care. It's called the kitchen disco and everyone's invited. So move your hips, shake your pips, and let's get all excited. The grapes are such a silly bunch, they boogie in a conga. When all the other fruit join in, the conga line gets longer. The pears have big fat bottoms, they groove across the floor. The apples wave their stalks around and scream for more, more, more. So shake it like a mango, party like a pear, wiggle like an apple. Hey! Uh-oh, busted. Just dance like you don't care. It's called the kitchen disco and everyone's invited. So move your hips, shake your pips, and let's get all excited. At breakfast time, the party slows. The fruit must go to bed. They climb into the fruit bowl and they rest their sleepy heads. So if you're in the kitchen and you hear them sing the song, then don't ask why and don't be shy. Come and sing along. Cool story that. All right. George's Marvellous Medicine. Yesterday, he gave the medicine to his grandma and she started to grow and grow and grow. So let's find out what's going to happen today. This chapter is called The Brown Hen. George stood in the farmyard looking up at the roof. The old farmhouse had a fine roof of pale red tiles and a chimney. There was no sign of Grandma. There was just only a song thrush singing on one of the chimney pots, singing a song. The old Wurzels got stuck in the attic, George thought. Thank goodness for that. But suddenly, a tile came clattering down from the roof and fell into the yard. The song thrush took off fast and flew away. Then another tile came down, then half a dozen more. Then very slowly, like some weird monster rising up from the deep, Grandma's head came through the roof. Then her scrawny neck, then the top of her shoulders. How are doing, boy? She shouted. How's that for a bash up? Don't you think you better stop now, Grandma? George called out. I've stopped, she answered. I feel terrific. Didn't I tell you I had magic powers? Didn't I warn you I had wizardry in the tips of my fingers? But you wouldn't listen to me, would you? You wouldn't listen to your old grandma. You didn't do it, Grandma, George shouted back to her. I did it. I made you a new medicine. A new medicine? You? What rubbish? She yelled. There's Grandma shooting out of the roof. She looks more like a crane. than a grandma. I did, George shouted. You're lying as usual, Grandma yelled. You're always lying. I'm not lying, Grandma. I swear I'm not. The wrinkled old face high up on the roof stared down suspiciously at George. Are you telling me you actually made a new medicine all by yourself? She shouted. Yes, Grandma, all by myself. I don't believe you, she answered, but I'm very comfortable up here. Fetch me a cup of tea. A brown hen was pecking around the yard, close to where George was standing. The hen gave him an idea. Quickly, he uncorked the medicine bottle and poured some on the ground, some of the brown stuff into a spoon. Watch this, Grandma, he shouted. He crouched down, holding out the spoon to the hen. Chicken, he said, chick, 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 come here, have some of this. Now, chickens are stupid birds and very greedy. They think everything is food. This one thought the spoon was full of corn. It hopped over, put its head on one side and looked at the spoon. Come on, chicken, George said. Good chicken. Chick, chick, chick. The brown head stretched out its neck towards the spoon and went peck. It got a beakful of the medicine. The effect was electric. Owie! Shrieked the hen, and it shot straight up into the air like a rocket. It went as high as the house. Then down it came again into the yard, splosh, and there it sat with its feathers all sticking straight out from its body. There was a look of amazement on its silly face. George stood watching it. Grandma up on the roof was watching it too. The hen got to its feet. It was rather shaky. It was making a funny gurgling noise in its throat. Its beak was opening and shutting. It seemed like a pretty sick hen. You've done it in, you stupid boy. The hen's going to die. Your father will be after you right now. He'll give you socks and serve you right. All of a sudden, black smoke started pouring out of the hen's beak. It's on fire, Grandma yelled. The hen's on fire. George ran to the water trough to get a bucket of water. That hen'll be roasted and ready for eating any moment, Grandma shouted. George sloshed the bucket of water over the hen. There was a sizzling sound and the smoke went away. Old hen's laid its last egg, Grandma shouted. Hens don't do any laying after they've been on fire. Now that the fire was out, the hen seemed better. It stood up properly, it flapped its wings, then it crouched down low to the ground, as though getting ready to jump. And it did jump. It jumped high in the air and turned a complete somersault and landed back on its feet. It's a circus hen, Grandma shouted from the rooftop. It's a flippin' acrobat. Now the hen began to grow. George had been waiting for this to happen. It's growing, he yelled. It's growing. Grandma, look, it's growing. Bigger and bigger, taller and taller it grew. Soon the hen was 4 or 5 times its normal size. Can you see it, Grandma? George shouted. I can see it, boy, the old girl shouted back. I'm watching it. George was hopping about from one foot to the other with excitement, pointing to the enormous hen and shouting, It's had the magic medicine, Grandma, and it's growing just like you did. But there was a difference between the way the hen was growing and the way Grandma grew. When Grandma grew taller and taller, she got thinner and thinner. The hen didn't. It stayed nice and plump all along. Soon, it was taller than George, but it didn't stop there. It went right on growing until it was about as big as a horse. Then it stopped. Doesn't it look marvelous? Grandma, George shouted. It's not as tall as me, Grandma sang out. Compared with me, that hen is titsy small. I'm the tallest of them all. The next chapter is the pig, the bullocks, the sheep, the pony, and the nanny goat. You can imagine what's going to be happening when some of them try the medicine. At that moment, George's mother came back from shopping in the village. She drove her car into the yard and got out. She was carrying a bottle of milk in one hand and a bag of groceries in the other. The first thing she saw was the gigantic brown hen towering over little George. She dropped the bottle of milk. Then Grandma started shouting at her from the rooftop, and when she looked up and saw Grandma's head sticking up through the tiles, she dropped the bag of groceries. How about that then, eh, Mary? Grandma shouted. I'll bet you've never seen a head as big as that. That's George's giant hen, that is. But, stammered George's mother. It's George's magic medicine, Grandma shouted. We've both of us have had it, the hen and I. But how in the world did you get up on the roof? Cried George's mother. I didn't, cackled the old woman. My feet are still standing on the floor of the living room. This was too much for George's mother to understand. She just goggled and gaped and looked as though she was going to faint. A second later, George's father appeared. His name was Mr. Killycranky. Mr. Cranky was a small man with bandy legs and a huge head. He was a kind father to George, but he was not an easy person to live with because even the smallest things got him all worked up and excited. The hen standing in the yard was certainly not a small thing, and when Mr. Cranky saw it, he started jumping up as though something was burning his feet. "Great heavens!" he cried, waving his arms. "What's this? What's happened? Where did it come from? It's a giant hen. Who did it?" "I did," George said. "Look at me!" Grandma shouted from the rooftop. "Never mind about the hen. What about me?" Mr. Cranky looked up and saw Grandma. "Shut up, Grandma," he said. It didn't seem to surprise him that the old girl was sticking up through the roof. It was the hen that was exciting him. He had never seen anything like it. But then, who had? "Oh, it's fantastic," Mr. Cranky shouted, dancing round around. "It's colossal, it's gigantic, it's tremendous, it's a miracle. How did you do it, George?" George started telling his father about the magic medicine. While he was doing this, the big brown hen sat down in the middle of the yard and went cluck, 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 cluck. Everyone stared at it. Then it stood up again, and there was a brown egg lying there. The egg was the size of a football. "That egg would make scrambled eggs for 20 people, Mrs. Cranky said. "George," Mr. Cranky shouted, "how much of that medicine you got?" "Lots," George said. "There's a big saucepan full in the kitchen, and this bottle here is nearly full." "Come with me," Mr. Cranky yelled, grabbing George by the arm. "Bring the medicine. For years and years I've been trying to breed bigger and bigger animals, bigger and bigger bulls for beef, bigger pigs for pork, bigger sheep for mutton." They went to the pigsty first. George gave a spoonful of medicine to the pig. The pig blew smoke from its nose and jumped about all over the place. Then it grew and grew. And in the end, it looked like this. That's a big pig. That's a lot of bacon. They went to the herd of fine black bullocks that Mr. Cranky was trying to fatten for the market. George gave each of them some medicine, and this is what happened. Wow. He gave some to his grey pony, Jack Frost. And finally, just for fun, he gave some to Alma, the nanny goat. And there's the goat there. The next chapter is called A Crane for Grandma. And I said earlier, she looked a bit like a crane. So we're going to find out about what happens to Grandma next time we catch up. That'll be tomorrow. So, hey, have a great day. Enjoy the nice weather. It's been so cool. And, hey, look, we'll send out more information about what school's going to look like next week. We'll catch you tomorrow. Ka kite anō.